Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rob Johnson with Spotlight Media Network, coming to you from Louisville High School, as we are here for the special presentation today. It'll be Technology in the Future, Cheating and Ethics and Ethical Uses of AI, with more, including choosing the right path after high school and graduation. So we're getting ready to get started here. We're here at Louisville High School for another great presentation. So we'll be getting started here with David Kennedy here shortly. David is a cybersecurity expert, keynote speaker, avid gamer, and a go-to for protecting companies from threats. He's a founder of TrustedSec and Binary Defense. He was a chief security officer for a Fortune 1000 company. So we'll be with you here just momentarily. It'll be David Kennedy. This is the Spotlight Media Network.
Okay, we're going to get started, ladies and gentlemen. When you're ready. Hey, once again, I have brought another guest to talk to you guys today. His name is David Kennedy. It's a little different than the last speaker, okay? We have lots of goals, and I have lots of goals for this school and for you guys in particular. One of the goals is to make sure that you know what you're doing when you leave my building as seniors, okay? Whether that's college, military, apprenticeship, you get into the, you go into the job world, okay? Whatever it is, you have a career pathway. And so what I did was I brought in David Kennedy with the help of Mrs. Muniak. Thank you, Mrs. Muniak, wherever you're at. Just a little bit. I'll let him introduce himself more, but he is a cybersecurity expert. He is an avid gamer, keynote speaker, and a go-to for protecting companies from threats. Okay, and he's also the founder. He'll talk to you. He's the founder of a couple companies, TrustedSec and Binary Defense. And he was the chief security officer for a Fortune 1000 company. Okay, so he knows a little bit about what he's talking about. Anyway, he's going to discuss with you a little bit about his background, which includes the military, how he came to own his own companies, and what he looks for in employees. He's also going to talk a little bit about cheating, plagiarism, and AI, and how to use it in an ethical way. And then also, finally, choosing the right path, because he might just hit upon a couple topics that you might want to pursue after high school. Okay, so without any further ado, Mr. David Kennedy.
Test. Wow, thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Dave Kennedy, as said. I'll give you a little bit of my origin story, but if you have any questions, just raise your hand throughout my presentation. I'm happy to answer anything you want to. But before I start, some of the things I'm known for in the cybersecurity industry is I'm considered the world's #1 hacker, computer hacker. So we hack into some of the biggest computer systems, some of our customers. Anybody here have a cell phone? I'm sure everybody does, right? Anybody have an iPhone or an Android? Yeah, we do all the security testing on those. So your phones, we make sure that people can't hack into your phones. Cars, we actually hack into cars. So the future generation of cars, we tear apart the cars to figure out how they work so that people can't hack into your cars and drive you off the road. Believe it or not, that's very possible, or at least it was possible. We've done that before. We also do physical security tests where we break into nuclear power plants and government installations, things like that, where we're hopping over fences and lockpicking doors and breaking into buildings. I've been arrested 4 times, and I get let go, which is great. So funny story about that. I was breaking into a company, assurance company in Wisconsin, and I didn't do enough testing on their security system, and I triggered one of their silent alarms. And we have these pieces of paper that are called get out of jail cards that are signed by the company saying, hey, they're authorized to be able to break into our building and test our physical security. We also test the response of the law enforcement in the local areas. And there's usually 2 points of contact on there. The first person's the person to call if I get arrested or apprehended. The second one's just a backup in case they can't get a hold of them. And so it was 2 o'clock in the morning. We broke into this building. I lockpicked one of the side doors in the gym, and then I was able to wedge one of the windows to get into the main lobby area, and that's when I triggered the alarm, unfortunately. Didn't know it, and so the police showed up, and I give them the get out of jail card, and they look at it, and they call the first person. Well, the first person's on vacation and doesn't answer the phone, and then the second person was the wrong point of contact. They had no idea what we were doing. So I sat in the back of a cop car for 6 hours until they had somebody that could verify what we were doing, and I was handcuffed and everything was great. So it's a lot of fun with what we get to do. Some other tidbits, I've testified in front of Congress on numerous occasions. I'm always on the news, so I'm on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, all the different news organizations talking about cybersecurity. I was in a Chris Brown rap video. So I got to meet Chris Brown and do a rap video for him. So if you ever look up, it's not safe for school, by the way, it's called Post and Delete. There's a music video, and I'm in the music video as one of the hackers in the background and helping out hack into Chris Brown's ex-girlfriend and deleting all of his posts from him. I guess it was a really weird skit. And I also helped out the TV show Mr. Robot. So I worked with Rami Malek and Christian Slater on the USA TV show Mr. Robot. So I got to work in Hollywood a lot, doing a lot of the stunts and hacks that they did on the actual TV show itself. So it was a lot of fun. But I want to give you a little bit of my origin story here. I graduated from Bedford High School. I barely passed. I think I had D's and F's, and then I basically had to go to summer school just to pass because I was always interested in computers. And I decided school probably wasn't the best thing for me to go into college and everything else. So I went into the military, and I worked for I was in the U.S. Marines, and I worked for the NSA, the National Security Agency, doing cyber warfare. So I had a top secret SCI government clearance, which is the highest level clearance you can have. And we basically hacked into other countries to figure out what they were doing from an intelligence perspective. So I'd hack in other countries, figure out what they're doing, provide that to the NSA, and then we'd run missions. I deployed twice to Iraq for intelligence-related missions. I was also in Afghanistan doing intelligence-related missions. So I spent about 2.5 years in the Middle East. So a lot of you are probably too young to remember the invasion of Iraq, but I was one of the first Marines into Iraq. And then when the Saddam statue fell, I was a block and a half away from that. And then spent a number of years working over there trying to weed out some of the terrorist cells and things like that were happening over there. I got out and worked for a small consulting company here in Cleveland, and then became one of the youngest vice presidents in Diebold history. Everybody familiar with Diebold, right here in Canton? Ran their entire security program. I was 27 years old and became their chief security officer and youngest vice president in history. And then they required me to go back to school to get a degree. So I eventually got a degree, late in my career. And then one day went home and decided to start my own company in the basement of my house. And just to give you some perspective, TrustedSec is considered the #1 leader in cybersecurity across the world. So we do work with 3 of the Fortune 5 companies out there and about 70% of the Fortune 1000 companies. So most of the stuff that powers technology, from implantable devices, medical devices, to when you go to an ER room, to cars, technology, things that are in your house, smart devices in your house. We do all of the security testing on that to make sure that hackers can't break into it. And we also hack into a lot of their corporate infrastructure. So we're hacking into banks, we're wire transferring millions of dollars out, and then we have to put it back, unfortunately, again. I broke it into safes before, like big vaults that have millions of dollars in it, and take pictures of monies of bags, and then we have to, again, put the monies of bags back away. We can't take it. So we get to do a lot of really cool things, all centric around cybersecurity. And I have close to 400 employees right now across the world doing this on a regular basis for both companies. And since then, I've started multiple others. So I think a total of 10 different companies that I started. Everything from fitness and health. I have my own pre-workout and protein and things like that. If anybody watch wrestling at all, like WCW, WWF, WWE, any of those? Well, one of my good friends is Diamond Dallas Page. He's a famous wrestler who did Diamond Cutter. He has protein out with us as well. So, a lot of different mixtures of things that I've done throughout my career. But cybersecurity is one of those things that, is such an evolving industry and is such in a high demand. If you look at what's happening all over the world, you have various threats that are happening from ransomware groups all the way to nation states that we deal with, China, North Korea, Iran, Russia. All of them are infiltrating our infrastructure at a given time. In fact, most of the time that we spend at both of the companies is combating those specific types of groups. We've gone neck and neck with China before, booting them out of companies, responding to them, hacking into government infrastructure. We've helped multiple government agencies, including the FBI and the CIA and the NSA, develop tools and weapons that they can use against those countries so that we can be better protected. So we do a lot of really cool things all across the board by protecting corporations, hospitals, health systems, manufacturing companies, you name it. Pretty much anything that makes the United States work, our critical infrastructure around our grid, our infrastructure, all of those things, have technological components that can be hacked. And about 2 years ago, we worked about a year and a half. There was this, everybody familiar with ransomware? So, there's these groups out there that are making hundreds of millions of dollars hacking into companies and corporations and then encrypting all their data and then holding it for ransom, saying, hey, you have to pay us $10 million or $20 million or $50 million to get your data back, or else your company's gonna go out of business. Well, we led about a year and a half. We unmasked about 17 individuals from one of the top ransomware groups, and we worked with the FBI and Europol, and we got them all arrested and taken off the market, and so they're all in jail right now. So we do a lot of that work on trying to figure out who the bad folks are all across the world, and I get to work with a lot of people within the government, help develop cybersecurity policies for the government that is used now across the board, just a whole array of things that basically allow us to protect our nation. And it's one of those careers that, people might think I'm good at math because I'm really good at programming. I'm horrible at math. You don't need to be great at math for programming, by the way. You could be good at math and be good at programming too, but I'm not really good at math, but I am really good at breaking into computer systems. And that's one of the things that I always kind of found interesting and awesome, that I get to do that for, corporations legally and not get in trouble for being able to do it. And if you look at just technology in general, with what we have with artificial intelligence and the progression of technology, things are vastly different than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Technology progresses at such a fast rate that we need people in this industry to help protect it. And so we do a lot of work with schools. I'm on the technology board for Bedford High School. I helped develop their cybersecurity program. They have a K-12 cybersecurity program that teaches cybersecurity, and we directly hire folks directly from high school into internship programs into TrustedSec without even having a degree to build them up. And we have a lot of folks that don't have degrees. We have folks that do have degrees. We have folks that have masters, folks that have never gone to college before in the past. There's a wide mixture of things depending on how you want to do it. And we have a lot of folks that are in the military. Military is a great option. My son, Mason, who's my youngest, is dead set on going to the Marines. I've been trying to talk him into going to the Air Force. A lot easier, better food, less danger. But definitely set on going into the Marines. But there's so many different programs in the Air Force for cyber warfare, cybersecurity, that once you come out of that program, you can literally probably find a job pretty much anywhere within any organization, large and small, all across the board. So, it's really important to understand that cybersecurity is one of those things that is a lot of different specializations. There's folks that just focus on physical security. I'll tell you another physical security story. We were doing an energy company here in Ohio, and it was their corporate headquarters, but it was they have armed guards, which we usually try to be very cautious with that. We don't want to get shot when we're doing physical security assessments. But we ended up going over this one side, and they had this helicopter pad on their one side, and it was with a barbed wire fence. We threw some rugs over the barbed wire fence, climbed over the barbed wire fence, and then I ran to the back entrance, and there was a door there that we had done reconnaissance the day before to figure out the best way to get into this building. And we get to this door, and the door has no handle. It's just a one-way only. You've ever seen like those crash bars you push and you walk out the door? They didn't have a handle, so I took a crowbar and I kind of just propped the door open a little bit, and the whole door just swung backwards and was able to get us into the building. And so we were able to get access to this building, and we were literally, like, the armed security guards were like flashing flashlights down the side, hallways and everything. We're hiding inside, desks and things like that to try to get access to the corporate environment, and ended up not getting caught that time, and were able to get fully out. But the funny story about that is as I was walking out of the building, they were doing a shift change, and I'm dressed in like all black. I have a like military microphone on my head so I can do comms with other people that are in the building. And I look like a burglar. I literally have like lockpicks in my hand. I mean, I'm like atypical burglar. If you were to look at a burglar and you would see a picture of me, I had a beanie on and everything. It was like pretty much, I'm robbing the place. And I started walking out towards to get to the back entrance that we came into, and it was a shift change for the security guards. And as soon as I looked through, there was like a double-sided door. As soon as I looked through the door, there was a physical security guard sitting right there. And he walked through the door, and I looked at my partner. I'm like, dude, we're screwed. And he opens the door, and he's completely caught off guard. This is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And he goes for, he goes towards his gun. I'm like, whoa, dude. We were just in IT. There was a bad server crash. We're just fixing. Everything's good to go. We're just walking out. And he's like, oh, man, you guys scared me. Have a good night, and walks out. So, we're able to completely get around the security guards at that time and break into that facility and steal their data and everything else, which is really cool. But when you look at, cybersecurity as a career, that's just physical security is one aspect. Computer hacking is another aspect. Forensics and incident response, where we go into companies and figure out how attackers actually break into systems. There's breaches that happen all the time. Did anybody see there was last year there was a slew of casino hacks? MGM got hacked really bad. Caesars got hacked really bad. There was a number of them that got hacked really bad. We did a lot of the incident response for those, where we came in to figure out how they broke in, how to boot them out, and ensure that they can't get back in again in the future. And so there's a lot of different specializations in our industry that allow us to basically do all of this. And when you look at what's happening with artificial intelligence, it's creating a whole new field in cybersecurity itself. For these hackers, to put it in perspective, there's one group that's out of Russia. Their name is ALV. They made about $570 million last year from illegally hacking into corporations and holding them ransom. And we can't get them because they're sitting in Russia and they're working with impunity with the Russian government. And so, you have these small groups that basically build these weapons that can hack into corporations, and they license them out to less sophisticated hackers so that they can get a payment, part of that payment and everything else that's happening out there. And with artificial intelligence, it's made it a lot easier for lower sophisticated groups to build new weapons, to circumvent security controls, to get access to computer systems, and then from there to further hack into corporations. So we're seeing a huge influx of hackers going after US-based companies all across the country, all across the world. And so the demand for cybersecurity is really out there. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go into cybersecurity. There's so many other fields too, in IT and security and development and everything else that comes along with technology. Every corporation typically has security personnel on their staff. We do work with Goodyear, with Timken, with Lincoln Electric, with Eaton, Key Bank, you name it. Every company has cybersecurity needs and people that work for them to help protect it, and we help make sure that they're doing the best they possibly can at defending a lot of the greatest hackers out there. And so artificial intelligence is a whole new emerging component. We use AI quite a bit in our field. We'll have AI develop us some prototypes of tools that we want, and then from there we build the rest of it out. It helps us out with what's called social engineering. Everybody familiar with social engineering? It's a way of impersonating somebody. One of I'll tell you a story here. We were dealing with a high net worth individual out of Hollywood, a very famous actor. And it was on the news, so if you Google voice cloning Hollywood actor, you'd be able to figure out who this is. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, this actor got a call from their daughter, who's 23. And the daughter was frantic, saying, Dad, I've been kidnapped. I was coming out of the play, and they took me, and they're holding me here, and they say they're going to kill me unless you pay this money to get me to let me go. And obviously, very scary situation. And so the actor, the father, paid the money. It ended up being about $75,000 through various, Cash App and Venmo and a few other pieces. And so after they hung up the phone with these people, they called the cops. The cops went to the daughter's apartment in Hollywood, and the daughter was fine. There was no problem. They had cloned her voice through social media. She had posted a video of her going to a play that night. They knew that she was at a play, and they had enough voice of her. You only need about 30 seconds of somebody's voice to actually clone their voice and impersonate them. We're able to clone her voice and impersonate that person and actually get them to pay the ransom. And so, nothing ever happened there, and there was luckily no issue, but you can see the sophistication of these groups that are getting better and better and better over time. And we do the same thing. I'll clone a voice of somebody that we're trying to impersonate within a company to get them to do something that we can try to hack their company and corporation from an ethics perspective, an ethical perspective. They're hiring us to do this. But it's getting more and more easier to gain access to computer systems than it ever has before. And I can't emphasize the ethics portion of this. Like, everything we do is 100% legal. We have full authorization to do it. There's what's called the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1983. And it's a very vague law, but it basically says if you conduct any unauthorized access to any computer systems that you're not allowed to, it's a federal issue. Therefore, you go to prison, it's a felony. So hacking illegally is a very, very bad thing, and it will land you in jail. And if you have a record, your chances of, especially if it's in cybersecurity and hacking, if you hacked into something illegally and you have a felony for it, your chances of getting into cybersecurity is almost non-existent. Trust, ethics, having the right type of approach is really, really important in this industry. And it's one of those things that makes it a big difference with what you're doing across the board. And so, again, we protect all these companies, we help secure everything else, and then we get to do a lot of really cool things, like new devices that come out. I'm trying to think, like medical implantable devices that go into your heart to protect you, the defibrillators. We can hack into those and we can kill somebody if we wanted to. I can't do that anymore, they fixed those issues. But we do those researches where it protects your heart, protects your body, protects things that you're putting in. Wearable devices, anybody here wearing a smartwatch? Things like that, we can hack into those. We can enable the microphone on it and listen to your conversations. There's a lot of crazy things that you can do with technology as it comes along. And then on top of that, being able to do cool things in the media. I was just on CNBC last week talking about the Russian hacking stuff that's going on with Ukraine. And obviously getting that awareness out to people and stuff like that's really, really important. So those are just some of the cool things that we get to do. I'll tell you just a quick story with the Chris Brown one that was a really funny one. Because I had done work on Mr. Robot before, the producer for this music video called me and was like, hey, can you fly out tomorrow to be in a Chris Brown rap video? And I'm like, sure, sounds good. I have no idea what that means, but I'll be happy to. And so the whole stunt of that whole video was that Chris Brown broke up with his girlfriend and didn't want any memories of that relationship, so he hires his buddy Dave to come in and hack into her phone and delete all of her video or all of their pictures together. And it was funny because I met Chris Brown, and he comes up to me, and I look at him like, oh, hey, what's up, Chris? How's it going, man? And he's like, hey, what's up, dude? I heard you're a computer hacker. I'm like, yeah, I'm a computer hacker. He's like, well, it's like, what can you do to me? I'm like, well, what do you want me to do to you? He's like, well, like, what can you find on me? I'm like, okay. So, I get on my computer, and about 4 minutes later, I'm like, well, here's your real name. Here's your bank accounts. Here's how much you have in your bank accounts. Here's your full social security number. Here's where you live. Oh, by the way, your girlfriend's calling you right now, and it was me calling him from his girlfriend's phone number. And I did a bunch of other stuff to him, and he wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the night. He was literally terrified, and you could see him like with his guys like pointing over at me and like telling the story and everything, and he was like terrified to talk to me for the rest of the night. So I didn't get to talk to Chris Brown after that. I was not allowed, but I was still in the music video, which is really cool. So funny stories you get to do, and technology makes all that stuff possible. One of the skits that I like to do when I'm in front of a lot of audiences, I'll call somebody up random from the audience, and I'll just ask their first and last name, and that's all I need. And I usually pull pretty much all their information, their phone numbers, their home of record, their full social security number, bank account information. I can probably usually get their credit card numbers directly off of that as well. And it's usually done within about 3 minutes of me pulling somebody up on the stage. So it works really well, and the amount of information that's out there is crazy. The information that's shared across the board, the information you put into your systems and apps, it's all out there to be used. And some of the best advice I can give you, by the way, does anybody here have an iPhone or Android and you have multiple apps on there? You probably have TikTok and Instagram and everything else on there, right? I'm sure you all aren't using the same password for all of those apps. I hope not. Probably are. I know, it's the same thing. That's one of the biggest ways that we break in to your personal data and your stuff. When there's a big data breach that happens, let's just say you download Instagram, right? And you put in a username and password into that, and that password is the same for your bank account or for your Twitter account or for your Twitch account or whatever it ends up being. That password then can be used to log into all of those other systems. So if there's a data breach in one of those systems, it compromises everything else that's out there. So I'd recommend using different passwords for all of your different apps that you have out there. Just put a different variance on them so that hackers can't break into them. That's one of the easiest ways that we break in. So I can usually pull people's last passwords they use, and it's usually the same that they're still using today. All of those things are definitely possible. The last thing I want to touch on is the advancement of technology and cheating and everything else that goes along with it. I think AI is an amazing resource. It's kind of like the next iteration of Google search engines, the ability to comb through data very quickly and have it, give back a nice response back to you. And it's what we call generative AI. Artificial intelligence field is an insane one right now. There's a lot of innovation happening. If you look at the new models, o4, for example, for ChatGPT or OpenAI, it's becoming smarter than human beings are. If you look at, there's an intelligence curve of humans, and there's certain percentages of people. Well, the o4 models are now in the top 10 percentile of human population of intelligence, which is crazy. And so it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter with what we can do and what we can develop. And if you look at what AI can do for us in the future, especially if you start getting into quantum, and I won't bore you with quantum computing and everything else, but we'll be at a point soon in your lifetime where we'll be able to cure things like cancer and aging and other things. It's actually possible to go and do. Those innovations are happening right now in the medical field, and it's one of those things that there's a lot of research being done. Like, for example, being able to take, I had one of the head doctors at Cleveland Clinic explain this to me. For somebody that has Crohn's disease, as an example, they can cure Crohn's disease if they studied one person from when they were an infant to when they're an adult, and they would be able to, once they hit an adult age, eventually be able to cure that Crohn's disease if they put all their medical teams on it. But that cure is only good for one person. What changes with AI, and most specifically quantum, is that they'll be able to create cures individual for people within milliseconds. They'll be able to create these things that allow to cure defects or issues with our bodies and things like that almost instantaneously, because they're able to compute in a different way that is much faster than what we do today. That's actually in your lifetime, which is crazy to think. We'll actually probably cure aging within our lifetime, believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, but it's things that are all possible with what we're learning and what we're actually experimenting with today. So those things are all possible. That's the field that's emerging right now, and it's going to be even larger than what it is today. The AI field is relatively small in comparison to everything else. It'll be one of the largest fields that we have out there in technology. So the innovation there is insane. Other than that, I mean, any questions, by the way, so far? Anybody have any questions at all? Feel free to ask questions. Hopefully I didn't scare the heck out of y'all so soon. But no questions yet? All right. Anybody here a video gamer? Video games, good? Yeah? What do we got? Fortnite? We got Marvel, Rivals, what do we got? COD, you got some of those, yeah? All right, nice. I'm talking your language now. All right. So, video games are a fun one too. We do work with EA, with a number of the different Epic Games, a number of other gaming companies as well, Blizzard/Microsoft. So we actually get to hack into video games and create cheats. We don't get to, unfortunately, use them. So we do a lot of the anti-cheat stuff, reverse engineering of Xbox and PlayStations. That's a whole field as well, all on the gaming side. I'm a big gamer myself, so right now I'm pretty much all exclusively Call of Duty. But prior to that, I was a huge Destiny fan, so I played Destiny. I actually have a Destiny tattoo over here for a Titan. But video games are a whole other area of development that we do a lot of testing on. So we've been able to hack into a lot of these games and do a ton of cheats for them, give ourselves levels, all the weapons, max levels and things like that, being able to create aim bots and things like that, and then basically release how we are able to do that so they can develop anti-cheat stuff against that as well too. So a lot of cool stuff that you get to build just by being in cybersecurity that you never think is even part of that. Next generation gaming platforms, you get to test all of those as they come out. One of our customers happens to make one of the largest graphic processors out there, so familiar with NVIDIA, those types of things. We get to do a lot of testing on the new graphic processors that are coming out, all the cool stuff about that. But the big thing I want to instill on you all is that I started off from nothing. I came from Bedford High School, lower income family, and I was able to build something really crazy and be successful with that, running the largest cybersecurity company in the world by starting in the basement of my house. I had no idea what I was doing. No one gave me a book to go and read. I had no idea how to register a company. I had no idea how to get employees, benefits, anything like that. And you figure this stuff out as you go along, but it requires you to go and actually do it. And that's the biggest thing I hope you can take away from this, is that whatever you want to be, regardless if it's in technology or not, just go and do it if you like doing it. I loved computers, I loved hacking, I loved all that other stuff. But if you just go and do it, good things happen. If you make yourself an expert in that area of whatever you like to do. When I go into work, our work is a fun environment. We have places you can take naps in. They have massage chairs. You can come into work whenever you want to. We don't have set work hours, so you can come in and leave whenever you want to. You can work from home. It doesn't make a difference. We have video games you can play. We have pinball machines and arcade games and various other things. It's just a nice place to work at because I made the place that I wanted to work at the same thing I would do if I was at home or anywhere else. And so you can do whatever you want to in this industry, in any industry, just as long as you go and apply yourself to it. And you don't have to know everything right away. I had no idea what I was doing when I started my company. I had no idea, how to do anything at all other than hack into computer systems, but I knew I was really good at computers, and I knew that if I could do that for other companies, it would actually go and work. And so those types of things are all possible if you actually just want to go and do it, and you just go do it. It doesn't mean if you can go to college and learn it, you can go in the military and learn it, you can go through trade schools and learn it, you can get certifications and learn it. All of those things are doable just by actually figuring it out and just kind of pushing yourself forward to go and doing it and making it your hobby. When I'd get home from work, I'd figure out how to develop a tool that would hack into computer systems. That's just what I made my hobby in doing. That's what I enjoyed doing, so it eventually naturally became my career and what I ended up building my entire career off of, being able to do it. And now I have 4 employees, and I've started other businesses as well because they're my hobbies. Like I have a company that specializes. We have doctors on staff that focus on longevity of health. I like the hacking your health thing. So I started a company that is all about making sure you can live longer. That's a hobby of mine, so I decided to make a company out of it. I have another company that literally just does the supplement stuff for pre-workout and protein. Anybody here into lifting at all? Lifting weights? It's good. I got a 650-pound deadlift, 555 squat, 400-pound bench. Anybody got me on that? No? All right, cool. Just making sure. All right. But it's one of those things that find the hobby you like doing and just pushing yourself into it. Can I answer any questions at all? Any questions? Anybody about getting into the field? Any questions you have about starting businesses? Anything like that at all? Yep. I can't hear you. Yep. Yeah, it's the name's escaping me. He's talking about there's a little device you can buy online that helps you clone. Well, it has a lot of purposes, but you can clone everything. If you want to break into a car, for example, we can intercept your unlock feature for the car, and then we can replicate that and break into your car with it. It's called the. It's escaping my name right now, but you can literally buy it offline, and it has a lot of modules you can build into it. It'll help you hack into wireless systems, cars, break into buildings. It has an RF cloner on it. So one of the devices that we have is it's a backpack, and I actually broke into the World Trade Center with this. It's a backpack, and it has an antenna on it, and when we walk past an employee, we can clone their badge and then replay that badge. So I was able to, there was an employee walking out of the World Trade Center. I was able to clone that badge and then basically give us access, the same access that person had to that facility, and then break into that as well. So badge cloning is a possibility. So have you ever seen anybody badge into a place before? They have that usually a card or maybe a key fob, and it badges them into that location. We can clone those, and then we can break into the buildings that way as well. They allow you to do that as well. Name's escaping me right now. We build our own, but you can buy them online too as well. Good question. Question back there? How much can I bench? 400. 400. That's my PR. That's my PR. I'm like 355 for reps right now, so. Go ahead. My KD ratio is not good. It's not good. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not talking about KD ratio. No, I used to be good. Hey, when I put my cheats on, it's really good, but after that, it's kind of downhill. So.
David, we have one over here.
Oh.
What's your craziest experience in your field?
My craziest experience in my field. Good question. We were doing work for a government installation, and I can't talk about the government installation, but it requires a clearance to go and do. Okay, and we were first. So when we do hacking, it's not just physically breaking into locations. It's also like, can I hack in through websites or other things, right? And so we were having trouble breaking into this government installation through the internet. And so we had to figure out a way to get access to their infrastructure. And so we broke into this heavily secured, classified location. And the way that we did it is, it's the dumbest way of breaking in the first place, but it works really well, is that we delivered flowers. And I had a bunch of flowers, and I had a delivery outfit on, and it was from like 1-800-Flowers. And they let me right into the building. I walked right in and put it on someone's desk, and I plugged in a little device that gave us access to their building, and I was able to hack them from that building. But the crazy part of the story is that I sat in that building for about 4.5 hours without anybody saying anything to me whatsoever. Even though I was in a 1-800-Flowers outfit that I shouldn't have been there for more than 5 minutes for delivering flowers. But I was able to basically hack into this military installation by being a flower delivery person. So that was a cool one. I have a lot of stories on those. We have this device that everybody see a bank vault, big bank vault, with a big, huge circular thing around it. We have this device that mounts onto the bank vault itself, and it tries every single combination. It has a mechanical component to it that it tries every single combination. And it takes about 4 hours or so to unlock the bank vault. But we're able to break into this bank vault. But the cool part about it is that we had tapped into their security feeds, their camera systems, their CCTV systems, and we had to just replay nothing. So it looked like we weren't even there. So even though we were in front of the cameras and waving at the cameras, the security guards, all they saw was nothing. We were able to blank out the security cameras. We were able to get access to the vault, open the vault, take all the money out, take pictures of the money, put the money back in, lock the vault back up, and then we were able to get our objectives. So that was a cool one too. I didn't get arrested that time, which is awesome. So that was a cool one. Good question. Are we hiring? Yes, we are. Yes, we are hiring. We're always hiring. So right now, I think at TrustedSec we have around 6 to 7 positions that are open. At Binary Defense, I think we have around 20 that are open, and we're always hiring, and we hire a lot of different folks. We have internship programs just coming out of high school or college that we teach. We do that once a year, so we basically have a career progression point where you come in, we teach you everything, and you build you up, and then eventually you go into the workforce. They're paid internships and everything else that comes along with that. But if you're interested in cybersecurity, there's a lot of great programs. If you're going to colleges, I'd recommend, if you really want to get into cybersecurity, there's colleges that are accredited by the NSA. Look for those colleges. Okay, look up the college, look up NSA accreditation, cybersecurity. Those are some of the best colleges out there that have the best programs. One of the best programs in cybersecurity today is actually out of Dakota State University. I don't know if anybody wants to go to South Dakota. It's really, really cold there. But they have one of the best cybersecurity programs right now available across the board. Baldwin Wallace also has a very good cybersecurity program. We hire a number of other folks out of there. Kent has another one. There's a lot of local schools as well that have some great cybersecurity programs out there that are doing great jobs. But the NSA accredited ones are some of the best. And what the great part about the NSA college class ones is that the NSA created this program so they can hire people right out of college directly at the NSA. So you come out of college and you can actually work for the National Security Agency with the top secret clearance, doing some really cool stuff. And then when you come out of that program, you literally can find a job anywhere you want to in the country, because you basically worked for some of the most elite folks that are out there in cybersecurity, the NSA being the largest of that for cyber warfare. You can literally find a job pretty much anywhere across the board. But we hire kids all the time out of those NSA accredited programs. It just depends, but we're always hiring a lot of different positions. Good question. Question back there? Sure. Do I play Fortnite or Siege? My son is really good. My son is, I think, ranked number 2. My son is actually the top 200 leaderboard right now. And he does the, yeah. And he's also won what are called cash calls. I don't know what those are, cash calls. He's won a bunch of those. And he's got a YouTube channel too, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I don't play Fortnite, but I do play Siege. Siege is great. So my son's a freshman. He's in 9th grade. So. Yeah. What about it? No, that wasn't us. We didn't break the PlayStation networks, but the PlayStation networks are down this weekend. It had nothing to do with cybersecurity, by the way, so it wasn't us. Wasn't us. What's my net worth? I have no idea. I can tell you that TrustedSec and Binary Defense are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I'll put it in that perspective. So I don't have that date. If I did, I couldn't tell you anyway. Yeah. What kind of cars do I hack? Yeah. So the question was, what kind of cars do we hack? We hack a lot of different cars. I actually own a Tesla. I have a Cybertruck, but it's wrapped. But hang on. It's wrapped like the warthog from Halo. So it looks like, yeah. And I do have a full Master Chief outfit too that I play airsoft in. So, but hey, whatever. Big Halo fan. Halo's awesome. But what kind of cars do we hack? So, if you look at cars, for example, I'm sure everybody has a nav screen on their front system. It's called an infotainment system. It's actually a computer, and those computers can be hacked. And so there was actually a researcher, his name was Charlie Miller, a bunch of years ago. He hacked into Jeeps, and he was able to drive Jeeps right off of the road. And so since then, a lot of the car manufacturers took a lot of interest in cybersecurity, and they actually have, believe it or not, your cars actually have firewalls built into them. So it's actually very difficult to hack into cars nowadays, and we actually help design a lot of those what are called gateways, those secure gateways that are in those cars to prevent those infotainment systems from being hacked, so that you can't, and if you look at like Tesla, for example, Tesla is one of the most interconnected cars that are on the market. And cars, they still talk at a really, I won't get into all the specifics of it, but the way that they communicate is what we call a car area network, or a CAN bus. And if you can access the CAN bus of the car area network, you can do anything to the car. It's just signals. So like when you're turning your steering wheel actually isn't moving the tires. It's sending a signal to move the tires to that computer. So we can actually send signals to that car and say, hey, we're turning the wheel right now and run you off the road. And so, car manufacturers actually want to protect against it. So pretty much any car that's out there that has any type of technology and an infotainment system, all the newest modern cars, whether it's whether it's a Chrysler or a Honda or a Toyota, all of them do a lot of cybersecurity testing on those cars. We do work for pretty much all of the manufacturers out there for cars, which is really cool. A lot of fun. Hacker movies? Good question. So, well, one of my favorite movies is Hackers from the 1990s. That's actually what got me into cybersecurity. In fact, if you look at the logo of our company, it's a smiley face with an eye patch on, and that's actually from the main hacker guy's name was Dane Murphy in the movie. Based the company off of that. It was one of my inspirations of starting TrustedSec. Most of those movies are pretty fake. The only realistic portrayal of hackers is the TV show Mr. Robot. So if you ever watch the show Mr. Robot with Rami Malek and Christian Slater, they actually hired hackers to develop the stunts and skits. In fact, Rami Malek, he played, his name in the show was Elliot, and he played this the most amazing hacker, but he really knows nothing about computers at all. He sucks at computers. He's terrible at computers. It was all us developing skits and stunts, and there was one stunt that was actually real. What they did was they hacked into the UPSs, what are called uninterrupted power supplies. So have you ever seen like a battery backup for your computer? So if if the servers go down, things like that, they have battery backups to protect them. Well, there was actually a theoretical flaw that was identified in one of these brands of UPSs, that you can actually target these UPSs and have them overload and cause an explosion. In one of the seasons, we actually did an explosion for one of the data centers based off of that specific research. So we actually used really real live hacking techniques in all of those different stunts and skits that were real life hacks that you could do in real life. So anything you see in Mr. Robot, all that stuff's is definitely 100% possible, and there were real life skits that we did as hackers for sure. Easiest car to hack? Well, they're our customers, so I can't really say which one is the worst. I would say 5 years ago, Chryslers were probably the easiest to hack, but they've gotten way better, and they're probably one of the best to not hack nowadays. They're one of the safest cars that are out there. They actually revolutionized the car manufacturing industry and how they protect their cars. With that, it's called an SPG, the Security Protocol Gateway. It actually protects the cars really, really well, and it's really, really hard to get around. So we haven't actually been able to figure out a way to get around it since the last testing, which is great. Good question. Any other questions? I have no idea. I don't even remember what rank I am. I don't play Siege as much. I've been playing Call of Duty pretty much most of the time. But I'll hop on with the kids for Siege when they're on and play. What's that? No. I'm looking at the new body cam one though. That one looks pretty good. Before the program is built? Yeah, so good question. So I think our question was, do we come in, after the fact, after something's been built and tested? And the answer is a lot of the above and a lot of the below. So we'll come in a lot of times before they even design an application or product or a new game or a new car, and we help design the security around that to ensure that when they build it, it's inherently secure. And then we do testing after to ensure that there wasn't anything that was introduced that wasn't, to the protocol of what they actually designed. But a lot of times these companies, have if you look at like a company like Diebold, for example, Diebold's been around for over 100 years. They have mainframes and old systems and things that they haven't been able to protect. And so, security wasn't thought about 50 years ago or 60 years ago. And that's the main actually issue that we have with our critical infrastructure, like water treatment facilities, power plants, things like that. They're using, 60, 70-year-old pieces of manufacturing equipment that never had security designed into it. And we kind of have to go around and figure out how to build security around that so they can still produce energy and still protect water and everything else, and that hackers can't break into it. So it's a blend of both. A lot of times we'll come in beforehand, help them design a really secure architecture around what they're building. But a lot of times they can't build security architectures around really old stuff. So we have to come in and figure out ways that hackers can't break into those systems. So we build multiple layers of defense to really try to stop them from actually going and doing it. And the biggest thing that, the biggest challenge today is actually not the computer systems, it's the humans. The way that we break in 90% of the time to corporations and companies is through people. Whether we call somebody up on the phone and say, hey, we're the help desk, you just downloaded something weird, you need to go and download this update to fix it. And the person clicks on that link, we download malicious code to their computer, and then from there we spread out to the rest of the network. People end up being one of the root cause issues of why data breaches actually happen. If you look at what happened with Caesars and MGM, these hackers, they use voice modulation software, so they removed their Russian accents, and they sounded like, somebody from the United States, no accent, nothing like that, so they didn't raise any alarms. And they said, hey, this is so-and-so from the help desk. We noticed that, your computer's acting a little slow. Can you run these couple tools? And they did, and it gave those hackers access to their computers, and they were able to, from that point, use that computer system as a pivot point into all the other computer systems in their environment. So a lot of times users are the issue when it comes to cybersecurity. And if you think about it, take an organization like Bank of America. I think they have like 500,000 employees. Let's just say I call up one person and I'm unsuccessful. Well, now I have 499,999 more people to go after. So I just go down the list until I find somebody that actually clicks on something that they thought was legitimate, but it wasn't. And so that's the issue that a lot of these corporations that they really struggle with protecting, is that the human error becomes a major problem in many of these cases. Not necessarily the computer systems. The computer systems might be perfectly locked down and secure, but then somebody allows them in, and then from there they're able to kind of move that forward. And that's a big issue that we face today, for sure. What's my favorite Call of Duty? Black Ops 2. Yeah. How do you get rid of the virus? I can help you out with that. It's the getting rid of viruses are actually kind of tough because they kind of embed yourself into the systems. So it takes a little bit of time to remove it. You can use like Malwarebytes. It's free to download, and you can just download it, and that usually will remove most of it for you. But I'd recommend actually. Do you have on your computer? Are you an administrator on that account? So your parents will give you administrative access? Like, okay, so you can't install things on your own and everything else? That's a good thing. So usually, if you are an administrator on your account, create another user account that isn't an administrator, and do all your gaming on that non-administrator account. If you ever get infected, just blow that account out and build a new one, because it won't be able to hook into the rest of your system. It'll be gone once you remove that profile. So that's a really easy way of fixing that. Yeah, no problem.
Hey guys, a couple things. If I wasn't in the education field, I probably would want to be in the cybersecurity field after listening to David. A couple stories. I'll tell you what, the one thing that I got from his message is he found out what he was passionate about, and he went out and became great. Find what you're passionate about, guys, because that's what this message is all about, okay? So, we're going to send you back. Let's give David Kennedy a loud round of applause. Listen, I'm not short, he's really tall, okay? Hey, with that said, listen up. Pause for a second. Hey, for those of you that have your phones and your backpack in Mod 6, make sure you quickly go back to Mod 6 and get those, and then go to Mod 8. For those of you that came from the cafeteria, pause, sit down, guys, I'm not done. For those of you that came from the cafeteria, you have your things, you go directly to Mod 8. With that, one more round of applause on the way out for David Kennedy. You can go.
Thank you.
I'm listening.
Okay, this might be a random question.
And that was David Kennedy of TrustedSec and Binary Defense. And I'll tell you what, that was actually a very, very informative and very cool session today. I loved it. It also showed that you don't necessarily have to be a scholar athlete to be able to become successful in life. It's just finding the field you want to be in and the things you want to do and chasing your dreams. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to thank Louisville City Schools for inviting us over and allowing us to do this, and we had a great time today. So we're going to step off and take off, and we'll see you next time in a gymnasium, stadium, or school near you. This is Rob Johnson with the Spotlight Media Network. Have a great afternoon, everybody.